Hey, this is James Brown. Welcome to this special edition of Tell Me About It here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can catch the show on a Thursday night at 6 p.m. Live on that channel. You can catch it anytime on the Glasgow EPB YouTube channel and on the 104thescore.com page. And we got some interviews coming up for fall sports as we close in. The funny thing about fall sports is you got golf closing in on the end of its season. The regional tournaments are next Monday and Tuesday. The boys are Monday at Indian Hills and Bowling Green. The girls are Tuesday at Rolling Hills and Russellville. And so we're closing out on that season. It began on July 22nd. We are hitting the midway point of the football season. We're hitting the last 3 weeks of the soccer season, and we got about a month left of the volleyball season. So we're going to give you a little bit of a kind of recap of what's been going on. We're going to focus on the football right here because this Friday night is the rivalry renewed between Barren County and Glasgow, putting Barren first because they're hosting this year. The rivalry started last year, renewed last year, and played over at Glasgow. I think it was an 8-year hiatus, but from the last time they had played. Not the first time since consolidation of Barren County schools in 1974-5 that they skipped playing each other. They had a period in the 80s where they didn't, I guess it was the 80s into the 90s where they didn't play each other for about 8 years. So big community interest. We had the Spirit celebration on the square on Wednesday. Had Jay Turner out there talking to folks, and I was out there shooting some videos and talking to different people. A lot of it was on air. You can find a lot of it on social media, that kind of thing. Anyway, the windows on the businesses on the square painted up, so you still have a chance to drive by downtown today and check those out Friday. And so let's talk a little bit about that game. Barren County is undefeated at 4-0 coming into the game. First time they've been undefeated, I've been told, since 1995. First year head coach, and not first year in his tenure, first year as a head coach, but first year as a head coach at Barren County. John Myers installed the wing T offense. And even though there are a couple of guys who have been the biggest benefactors, Jordan Harris and Dalen Thomas, as far as running the football, you've got other guys mixed in there like Briggs Harris and Cody Kearney, Corbin Wells, and of course, Tate Spillman engineering it from the quarterback position, who runs and throws. Primary target is Jackson Bird, who's had a big season. Ray Bewley is another good target, but he's been out with an injury, so didn't get much look in the last couple of games, I think. But the offense has been prolific. The lone exception was the 21-15 win over Monroe County last Friday. It's the least amount of points they've scored in a game. They put up 60 the week before against Warren East, which I'm told was the most points they had scored in a game since 1994. I believe that was a game against Caverna when those two still played way back when. And so that offense is humming along. And it's kind of a rarity for Barren County. Usually when Barren and Glasgow play each other, what we talk about is Barren County having to maintain control of the ball, run the ball, that kind of thing, and Glasgow having explosive play capability. This year it's the other way around. Barren has several 50 or more yard plays this season, scoring plays, and some that didn't score but ate up chunks of yardage on the field. Glasgow's struggled a little bit on that front. They went to an I formation more than anything this year. They run some spread because they do have Jarek Martin at wide receiver and Jalen Bradley at wide receiver and Kellen Stone, who comes in and plays wide receiver and running back. So they do run a little bit of spread, but they're primarily an I formation offense. Cameron Bull runs the ball somewhere around 20 times a game as the tailback. He had 177 yards against Monroe County when Glasgow won that game 15-14 2 weeks ago. He had over 100 yards last week, even though Glasgow struggled to move the ball against Allen County Scottsville. Glasgow's 3-1. That game against Allen County Scottsville is their only loss. They ended up losing at 32-15. They had a real hard time in two areas in the game that ended up probably was the key to their loss. One was the offensive line. They had a struggle with some of the snaps and mishandled plays in the backfield and that kind of stuff. Hard to run an offense when you can't even get it started. So that makes it even more impressive that Bull ended up with over 100 yards rushing because the offense was struggling. And then they actually had a hard time dealing with Allen County's run game. And so Chase Ross, I think, is their primary running back. He had a big night against Glasgow, had a couple of huge runs. Their defense had a hard time getting off the field. We knew coming into this season that the replacement basically of 17 players, all 5 offensive linemen and most of the defensive front and linebackers was going to be a problem. And they kind of had managed to get through the first 3 games that they won. They were 3-0 for that loss to Allen County. But that game really, those issues were exposed, I would say. And that kind of sets us up with a key situation here because Barren County, as I just mentioned, they run the ball effectively, and they've had some big pass plays as well. And Glasgow has struggled to stop the run. Now, conversely, Barren has not played great pass defense. They've had some struggles there. They've given up some big pass plays. I mean, you just look at the game against Warren East where, yeah, they scored 60, but they gave up 52. Dane Parsley, the quarterback, threw for over 400 yards and I think 5 touchdowns in the game. He's kind of maybe he's an exception to the situation because he's an outstanding quarterback. But nonetheless, Barron's had some issues covering the pass. Glasgow does have some big play receivers if they can get the ball into their hands, as I mentioned, Martin and Bradley. So it's going to be a contrast of styles, kind of in reverse of what we've seen in the past. Glasgow might be the team that wants to control the ball and run the clock and then maybe try to hit a couple of big plays to Martin or Bradley or even Kanan Allen or maybe Bull coming out of the backfield. Barren, they want to be able to run the football, but they've kind of been a home run hitting team when they've scored this year. So, for those who are longtime followers of these two playing each other, it's going to be an interesting contrast versus historically what we've seen when they play each other. So yeah, it should be an interesting game. It'll be over at Barren County. The kickoff is at 7 o'clock. And meanwhile, the Caverna Colonels are 3-1, for those who are interested in that. Their last game out was last Thursday, a week ago today, and they were over Edmonson County. They beat them 28-6. Twin brothers Tyson Martin and Kenyon Martin both went over 100 yards rushing. Tyson Helton didn't do anything, except coach a heck of a game for the WKU when they beat Middle Tennessee on Saturday. But let's leave that aside. So Martin and Martin, they the law firm that is the Colonels, they both put up over 100 yards rushing against Edmonson County. Tyson Martin has rushed for nearly 500 yards in 4 games, and I think Kenyon's at nearly 400 yards in 4 games. So those two guys are hitting a stride. Kenyon's really kind of come into his own this year running the football to offset his twin brother. Then they've had some big plays out of Jalen Crane 2 weeks ago against Eminence. He had 3 interceptions in a game and then caught a touchdown pass with like a minute to go when the Colonels rallied from a 2-touchdown deficit to win that game in the fourth quarter, 26-21. So their only losses to Adair County. And Adair County just past Friday, which theirs in the same district as Glasgow, beat Franklin Simpson, also in that district, 42-7. So Adair County looks pretty good for those who are not paying attention. And update for those who did know, Easton Jesse, who had been a 3.5-year quarterback at Glasgow, transferred to Adair County prior to the start of this season, but unfortunately he was injured 2 weeks ago, so he may be out for the rest of the season. I'm not sure the exact status, but tough break for Easton after moving over to Adair County. And he's got aims to play college football, so I hope he has a speedy recovery and everything turns out well for him. Some other notes in the area, as I mentioned, the Glasgow district. Hart County is also in that district. They are undefeated. They look very good again this year, despite losing teams worth of seniors from last year. Butler County's also in that district, kind of looking like they might struggle. In Caverna's district, Russellville's in there. They won a game last week against Trigg County. They are 1-3. They played a pretty tough schedule to open the season. The other two teams in that team, Ballard Memorial and Fulton County, no account, I do believe, in terms of who might be the district champion. So it's going to be between Russellville and Caverna. And then in Barren County's district, you have Warren Central in there. They won the opener this season against Russellville, but I think they've lost their other 3 games pretty decisively. And then you have Central Hardin and North Hardin in there. Central Hardin's not won a game, but they generally play one of the toughest non-district schedules in the state. And North Hardin does as well, and they're 2-2. Never know what to think of those dudes, and until you get to see them, because they don't play anybody around here that we get to make a real comparison to. So that's kind of how things are. The football season, like I said, this Friday will be the halfway point. Next week, a lot of teams really start the meat of their district schedules, and we'll see how that goes. Good luck to all of them. This is James Brown here on Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. Hey, welcome back to Tell Me About It. This is James Brown. We're here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can catch the show on YouTube, on the Glasgow EPB channel, and on 104thescore.com. Today, we are doing several interviews with people. You'll notice the show's not every week anymore. We've decided to try to hit some high notes, so we do like an hour-long show, do previews. And first, we're talking to Glasgow golfers. This is on the boys' team. We'll also have Coach Chase Landrum and Tate Pace coming up. But first, we have Griffin Jackson. He'll be an 8th grader, right?
Yes, sir.
And then Harrison Belcher. He'll be a senior. And first, I'm not even going to really ask you guys about golf per se, because I know you guys both had busy summers, but very different things that you were busy with. Griffin, I think you were traveling all over the country, or at least some parts of it, playing golf. Is that what you did during the summer?
Yep.
What is your ambition? Why do you do that?
Because I want to get a good ranking, so college coaches will look at me, and so hopefully I can go to the colleges I want to.
How old were you when you woke up and said, hey, I think I want to be a college golfer?
Probably about 2 years ago, I really started to get serious about it.
Mm-hmm. Why was that?
Because I thought if I was going to play it, I might as well just get good at it.
Never a truer statement made, I guess. And then Harrison, now you come from a family of golfers.
Yes, sir.
But your ambition is not to continue that playing college golf, is it?
No, sir.
What is it you want to do when you get done with high school this year?
I'm looking to go and pursue a BFA in musical theater.
Why is that the thing that you fell in love with?
It's just always been a safe place for me, and I've just always been able to do what I love through that. And it's really the people that just everybody is super nice, and it's just what I've always loved.
Now, I think you spent the summer, was it at the Governor's School for the Arts?
Yes, sir.
What was that experience like for you?
It was a life-changing experience. It was a lot of work, though. We had about 12 to 14 hours of class a day, so it was long hours, but it didn't feel like work. So that's kind of when I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
So in that particular situation, do you go and at the end there's like a performance thing that's kind of a capstone of everything you've done?
Yes, sir. So we went and we started by just singing the same things that we did for our audition, and then our instructors, who were amazing instructors, I mean, they had combined 50, 60 years of Broadway experience between the three of them, and they gave us things that they thought fit us well as an actor and a performer. And so at the end of the 3 weeks, we performed a show with 30 people that I hadn't met until 20 days before.
Right.
So
do you know when it was that you fell in love with the idea of theater?
Really, whenever I entered into high school, our first year, my freshman year, we did a show called Les Mis, and it was when I saw the seniors that year be able to do what they did, I knew that I wanted to work as hard as I could to be able to make it there.
So at what point in time did you have the discussion with your dad that, like, I like golf, but I'm not really going for that?
I would say it was last year when I decided that I wanted to apply for GSA, and I told him, I was like, if I go to GSA, I'm not going to be as good of a golfer as I can be for my senior year, but I'm still going to work at it and try and do as best by the team that I can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an awesome experience for you to get to do that, I'm sure. And you get to meet all kinds of people that there was no way you were going to know them anyway otherwise. And I'm guessing that's the same for you, Griffin, going and traveling, I think, on the AJGA tour, and I think you did, was it a junior Pepsi tour or whatever it's called these days? I never can remember what they're called anymore because they get different sponsorships. But I guess that experience is kind of the same for you. You get to meet a lot of people from different places in the country, compete against them, and I guess in a way build friendships with them.
Yeah.
So are there any, with that experience, is there anything that just kind of stands out to you?
It's cool to meet other kids from different places of the world, just to get to talk to them and ask them about their life at different places in the world. Because I've met people from China, Japan, and talked to them about their golf life and their normal life, and how to handle different situations.
Yeah. So I guess you also get to learn from people that aren't just in your neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
Starting with you, Griffin, how do you think the season's going for you guys so far? I mean, you're almost a month in, which is crazy, and school hasn't even started yet.
I think it's been going pretty good as a team and for myself.
I mean, you got off to a hot start.
I did. I've had 2 okay rounds since then, but I'm trying to get back on the track of getting better and working at it.
So were those initial courses just too easy? Is that what it was?
No, those courses were not easy, I don't think.
Right. You just played well.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Harrison, now I think that first tournament, you actually had a pretty good day at that first tournament for you.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Just, I mean, I hadn't touched a golf club in 3 weeks really before that first tournament, so it was, I feel like at that point it was just my instincts taking over from playing for so long, but now I'm just knocking the rust off, trying to get back in the swing of it.
For both of you guys, what is the ambition for you as individuals, and how do you think the team can do this year?
As an individual, I think I'm trying to get past region, then get past semi-state and get to state and hopefully do well there.
Yeah.
But as a team, I'm hoping we can put a good round together on September 23rd and get past region.
Yeah. How about for you, Harrison?
Yeah, I would say that's my goal. The past 2 years, I've been so close to making it through a region. It's just been dumb mistakes. Last year, I had 5 shots to play with 3 holes left and messed it up. And the year before that, I missed it by 2, and the 2 shots were me calling a penalty on myself. But, I mean, it's just, I try not to think about what happens in the season, because in high school golf, there's one day that matters, and anybody can show up that day and play great, or anybody can mess up that day. So I don't try to let it affect me. But region's pretty wide open this year. I think there's no reason why we can't do well as a team as well.
Do you think there's a little pressure off of you in your senior year just because you've made a decision about what you're going to do? So now you're just kind of playing because you just want to play for the fun of it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, now that I'm just playing for the fun of it, I hadn't ever – I'd always thought, okay, in the back of my head, maybe I want to do this. But now that I feel like I've made up my mind, it's less pressure, and I honestly think that I hit the ball better now because I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll have Chase and Tate up here in just a second. And good luck to you guys the rest of the season. I'm sure I'll see you a few more times.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is Tell Me About It. I'm James Brown here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. We'll be right back. Hey, this is James Brown. Welcome back to Tell Me About It here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. And now we have Glasgow boys golf coach Chase Landrum and junior Tate Pace with us. And before we get started, I'm going to mention a couple of things. For those who have lived under a rock for the last, 15 years or whatever, and don't know who Chase Landrum is, he was twice Mr. Golf here at Glasgow High School. So, he's played a little bit. Was at WKU for a run. Had a good career there too. So, he knows a little bit about golf, and just in case anybody's like, well, who the heck is that? And then Tate Pace here. Now, Tate, I'm going to start with you because I think you joined the team last year. That was your first year with the program as a sophomore. And as I recall, your first tournament with them, I think you led them with the low round of the day over at Campbellsville, I think it was.
I think it's Barren River State Park.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Campbellsville was our first tournament.
That was the first one.
Okay, so it was the next one that you actually had the low round. So how did you get into playing golf?
It's kind of a funny story. We went down to Texas for just a random vacation, and we decided to play Topgolf. And I was huge into baseball at the time, and the swings were sort of similar, and I was kind of decent at it, so I just picked it up and went with it.
Now, how old was it? How old were you then?
I was probably like 10, I'd say, 10, 11.
So it wasn't like a sport that you just kind of grew up with?
No.
So after you started playing, what was the thing that you're like, okay, this is the sport I love?
I'd say whenever I won probably my first tournament or actually placed decent in it before then, I was kind of just like, this is fun. But then you win one, you play good, you're like, hey, this is fun winning. I want to do this again. Right. He knows all about it, so.
Well, so Chase, you have taken over the program. Jonathan started out as a head coach. He was a head coach last year. But I'm guessing with Harrison being a senior, and you were kind of already probably doing most of the stuff. So how has that transition been for you?
It's been a wild few weeks, to say the least. And we've added 3 players in the last 2 weeks with Jackson Norris and Lucas Kleikendall and Carter Hodges, who you will hear more about during basketball and baseball season as well. He's a transfer from Edmonson County. So we've been doing all the paperwork, getting all that together. We're now up to 12 golfers, which is great for us, and we need it because we're very young this year. We've been more experienced in recent years, but I've got Griffin, an 8th grader here, Harrison, a senior, and Tate, a junior, who we're leaning on.
Well, and that's I guess you've had, I think Tucker Garrett's been playing that 5 spot some, and I think Jackson Norris played one last week, and so you're still trying to find that 4 and 5 guy, I'm guessing, at this point.
Yeah, we've got Sam Allen, who's gave us some good rounds so far in our 4 spot, and then the addition of Jackson Norris and Tucker Garrett, who Tucker wasn't going to play until the Monday before the season started. So we've had a lot of additions just since July 15th, which could help us down the road as well, and this year.
So in part of the process, I mean, you know you got 3 that are going to be kind of steady. Do you kind of go with each tournament thinking, well, let's see who we're going to plug in here and see how they perform under the pressure of these 18 holes? Because that's just different than the practice, right?
Yeah, we're just basically all these tournaments that we're playing in lead up to region. I would call it practice, but it's also good experiences for all the players that are playing because it gives them more experience for that one day that matters, which is September 23rd, I believe it is. So it's anybody's ball game on that day, and I feel like that if we can put all of our pieces together on that day, then we've got a shot.
So I think the region's set at Indian Hills now. And so do you guys have any opportunities to go play there before the regional tournament?
We will probably take a couple practice rounds down there to see the golf course and for sure take care of holes 4 and 18 this year a little better than we have the last 2 years, I hope.
They were killers last year.
They
were. 18 was eating everybody's lunch last year.
It didn't come down to 18 for us last year, but hole 4 ate our lunch last year, as I will say. We played at 8 over as a team, and we lost by 1 to get in.
Right. Yeah, that was a
so 18 didn't hurt us. It was
great
number
time.
4.
Yeah. So that was your favorite tournament you played in last year then, huh, Tate?
No, nowhere close. I got very unlucky that tournament.
Yeah, there were so many golfers last year at the top of the region rankings that struggled in that regional tournament. I mean, I think Bowling Green ended up being saved by their number 5 golfer, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
And so as that day was going on, you could just see so many of these golfers who had the low rounds through the season, low averages, struggle in that regional tournament. It was kind of fascinating, probably terrifying for them, but fascinating for an observer.
Yeah.
So what do you do to try to get the players in the right mindset to when any tournament starts, but especially those last couple of weeks as you're trying to lead up to the region?
You just want to stay in a routine, I feel like, in my opinion. It's just like school. You stay in a routine and you do everything the same every day. Well, I think what we're going to continue to do is continue to work on our short games because I think that's where a pivotal amount of our shots where it's going to come down to in the region tournament, where it can matter. Because if we get our short games where they need to be, I feel like we can compete for sure.
Well, what is the short game? What area are you talking about? Is it just putting or trying to work from around the green itself?
Around the green itself and putting. We've been doing a lot of work from inside 5 feet, making sure that we make most of our 5-footers and in to where we can, shoot better scores later on, hopefully get through as a team as well.
Yeah. Tate, what would you say the strength of your game is?
Nothing right now, honestly. But what do we say? What'd you say?
What do I say?
Yeah, because I don't know if there's any one thing that's like great right now.
I would say your driving game's pretty good. You're hitting your driver good.
Driver, yeah.
Your long game's good.
Yeah.
Putting's the worst by far.
I think
by far.
I think that's one of the things going. I didn't ask Griffin and Harrison about that question during that interview, but going back to what Griffin seems to do well is that short game seems to be his real strength. And so I guess. Do you get the rest of them and say, look, just watch what he does?
Just watch what he does with the wedges.
Yeah, he gave me a chipping lesson earlier this year, and it's helped tremendously.
That's good to have a teammate that'll give you a chipping lesson. Right? So you guys are about halfway through the season, because you mentioned September 23rd is that region. The golf season starts July 22nd. I mean, it starts so early. And so you're playing a lot that first 3 weeks or whatever it is. So when it comes to that routine, and school doesn't start from Glasgow for another week and a half, I think it is.
That's right.
So when you're talking about a routine, you're having to build one routine and maybe have to work on a different routine with the last 3 weeks of the season left. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I started this week actually starting practice at 4 o'clock, acting like we're going to get out of school and just come straight to the golf course to kind of get them acclimated. Because I'm now back to work as well today, so
right.
So we're going to start practice at 4 each day, except for Monday next week. We'll do an early practice because we got back to school bash at Highland. So So we're going to get acclimated with the 4 o'clock after school practice schedule the rest of the season.
Overall, before we get out of here, what do you think the strength of your team has been so far this year?
I think how they've all come together as a group and just become closer with one another, getting to know each other. We have, I think, 6 new players this year, so it's a very young team. We got lots of youth, as I would call it.
Yeah.
Some of them that are just raw to the game and are good athletes as well.
Yeah. Well, and I guess you graduated your top 3 more or less from last year, even though Griffin ended up making the cut to get to semi-state, but that wasn't the thought process coming into the season. So, I mean, I guess in a way you and Jonathan had to rebuild this team even though you had 3 good ones coming back.
Yes. There's been a lot of work put in, and we're going to continue to put a lot of work in because I still feel like our chances of getting through region the semi-state are good if we put together the pieces on the right day.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, Chase.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tate, for joining me here on Tell Me About It. And I'm James Brown, and we'll be right back. Hey, this is James Brown here on Tell Me About It. Welcome back, Glasgow EPB Channel 6 local channel. You can also catch this show on the EPB YouTube channel and on 104thescore.com. We've talked to several fall sports, athletes, and coaches, and we're continuing that tour with Barren County Girls Soccer. We're going to start off here with a couple of players. I believe you guys are both seniors, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can't believe you guys are seniors, but nonetheless, you probably can't either. We have Lainey Wheeler and Lizzie Smith, and we're going to start with Lizzie Smith real quick because Lizzie, until we were like doing our little warm up here, I didn't know you'd only been playing soccer for 4 years, seeing as how your sister's a coach, and I know she played for a long time, and it was her sport. How did you get into playing to start with then?
Well, I kind of just did it really for fun because I play softball in the spring, so like really to just get in shape for softball and, just have a fun sport, to have, so.
So, Lainey, how long have you been playing?
So I've been playing 4 years as well. I started my freshman year. I kind of got into it because one of my friends played, one of my best friends, and I had recently quit the high school dance team, and I just wanted to try something new, and I tried it, and I really liked it. So
is one of your best friends still playing, or did they give it up?
she doesn't play anymore, no.
So left you to it.
Yeah, she left me.
So what is it, once you started playing, what is it that made you decide I do enjoy doing this?
Well, a lot of the older girls really took me under their wing, and they showed me like the ways of how to do things. I really caught on quickly. I was kind of a natural, but yeah, I just
That's
really.
not a bad thing at all,
No,
really.
I had ran track and stuff, so I was quick, and
Okay.
I just kind of caught on well.
So how about for you, Lizzie? I mean, did it transition? I know you still play softball, but did it transition to where you really started loving soccer as well?
Yeah, I totally think so. I think like I didn't really start varsity at all my freshman year, but like in JV, I just had so much fun, and it's just such a good place to be around, and it's competitive and quick, and I just love it.
So it's completely different from playing softball.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're running around all the time
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And softball, I mean, you're lucky if you get to run much at all
Yeah.
during the
Yeah,
course of
right.
the game. So, I mean, is that contrast something that you appeal to you?
Yeah, honestly, I really like how like in soccer, it's not like you get a lot of like I don't know, I guess opportunities to make up for mistakes if you have one, or like you just get a lot of opportunities to do good. And in softball, it's not really like that. Like if you strike out, like you don't really get another. I mean, other than like you get like 3 opportunities a game hitting wise. So like, but in soccer, you get a lot of opportunities. So.
Did the amount of running necessary in soccer when you first started playing, did you think to yourself, no, this really isn't for me?
Well, yeah, maybe the first couple practices, but I mean, you don't really realize how much you run like in a game or anything like that until like after, of course, when you're exhausted.
Right.
But like, you don't really ever realize how much you're running unless it's conditioning and stuff like that. So.
So, Lainey, what is it that ended up appealing to you about soccer most? I mean, you said you were in dance, and so, I'm guessing you were pretty fit and that kind of stuff when you started out. So the running part probably was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, what ended up appealing to you most about it?
Well, I just thought it was so much fun. Like, it was totally different from what I was used to because I'd never really played like sports with like balls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nothing really that competitive, and I just am a competitive person, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I really like the idea of just playing with other people, like having teammates and, just
Yeah.
kind of doing all that.
So where do you play on the soccer pitch?
On the soccer field.
Yeah, pitch, field.
Oh, okay.
Come on then.
Sorry.
Where do you play? What position?
I play defensive mid.
Okay. And then, Lizzie, you play left back still?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are both more defensive players.
Yes, sir.
What's your favorite thing about playing defense there, Lainey?
I like just being able to shut people down because I feel like the other team's offense, sometimes they can get a big head on themselves. And,
Nice. Yes.
yeah, they definitely think like that they're going to have the run on you, and then just like surprising them and taking them out. Like, it's just...
Do you like to get your shoulder into people, just level them?
Well, your photos have shown that I like to sometimes do a little bit of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Seem to be the kind of player that likes to knock somebody off the ball.
yeah, a little bit.
How about for you, Lizzie? I mean, what about that defensive
I mean,
mindset?
I really like helping my team as much as I can. I feel like as defense, that's like a main part of it. And I really like clearing the ball too, just kicking as hard as you can. It's really fun.
So what? You guys are a week into the season. How do you feel like it's going so far for you?
I think it's going pretty well so far. I mean, I think we've done pretty well, honestly. this
Yeah,
year.
I think we've played some pretty difficult teams, and we've really shown like what we can do. Our first game was Bowling Green, and I feel like we played pretty well, especially compared to years past. Like, I just think we showed that we can, like, we're kind of building up and that we can compete with these really good teams.
Well, you mentioned you played Bowling Green. They're probably the best team in the region and maybe one of the best teams in the state this year.
Did they get runner-up last year in
Yeah, I
state, I
think so.
believe? Yeah, they're really good.
They seem to be better this year.
Yeah, they are, definitely. They're something.
So coming out of that game, I mean, it's hard to lose a game
Yeah.
like that. And then, but coming out of it, what did you guys kind of think?
I mean, I think that it just really helped us. I think it made us better 100% by playing that high-level competition. And I think that it just shows, like, we're already here, and, like, by the end of the season, we could be here. So.
Yeah. And then you guys played Warren East, that first meeting, always a tough one. You guys shocked them last year, but what'd you take from that game you played the other night?
I really didn't think it was that bad. Their score that they scored off of us was off of a corner, and it was just a beautiful ball. Like, there's nothing we could have done about that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I feel like we shut them down in the field really well, and if we can get our offense where it needs to be, we can score and compete with them for sure.
Yeah, you guys had some opportunities. You just didn't get the goals, right?
Yep.
So when you look at that, you think the district shapes up? I mean, you guys won East again this year. You think that's the way this looks?
Yeah, that's how it looks to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, what is your favorite class in school there, Lizzie? Whichever ones you pass.
Yeah, pretty much the easiest classes are my favorite ones, actually. So like art or like aerobics or PE.
I guess once you get to your senior year, you're just like, I just need to get to this finish line. I mean, you enjoy the things in between, but the education side, it's just like, let me get to this finish line. How about for you, Lainey?
I'm a math girl.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at math. I just enjoy it because problem solving, and
Yeah.
there's always a right answer.
Yeah, okay. Well, that sounds good. All right. Well, I've been here with Lizzie Smith and Lainey Wheeler, Barren County Girls Soccer Program, on Tell Me About It, and we'll be right back. Hey, this is James Brown. Welcome back to Tell Me About It here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. The show will air on a Thursday at 6 p.m. We're not sure which one it is or exactly what the date will be, but you'll have lots of content from fall sports, and we will continue now with our interview with Barren County Girls Soccer Program, Coach Lainey Smith and senior Megan Spears. And Coach Smith, when you took over, we did an interview, and you talked about the things you wanted to try to do. And of course, you were an assistant for 2 years, so you knew the players and what you thought you might be able to accomplish. What have you learned from your plan before the season started versus now that the season started? Are there some changes that you've had to make, or you've decided, well, this person's going to work differently than I thought they would once you had them on the field?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest goal I had coming into the season was to play very quickly and get the ball up the field. I think our outside backs have had to sit a little deep, and that leaves that gap kind of between the defense and offense. So that's something that we're working on, playing from the back, finding feet, gaining that speed all the way from the back. So that's something we're still working on, but that's something that I definitely think we can achieve this season.
Yeah. Now, Megan, you also didn't really start playing soccer until you got into high school.
Yeah.
Why was it you started when you did?
Well, actually, Lainey convinced me to play during freshman year. She was like, you should join next year and just see if you like it. And after the first practice, I loved it. And so I just kept coming back.
What was it that you loved about it?
I love the competitiveness, and I love that it's not just like a one-person focused sport. You know, you have 11 girls with you, and, you know, you get to play together and be there with the team. I love that part of it.
Had you played other sports before you started playing soccer?
No, I had not.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay, sure, I'll try to
Yeah.
play this sport.
Yeah.
My first sport will be this one.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good, though. Why did you think she would be a good player?
It was actually Lainey Wheeler.
Oh, okay, my
But
bad.
I scooped her up too. So
Okay.
Megan is one of the fastest girls we have on the team. She works hard, and she's always everywhere at once. And that's what makes her a good center defender in our midfield. So she's done very well. I can't believe she's just played soccer for 2 years. It blows my mind.
So, you brought your three of your seniors here to talk today. What have they meant to the program in the 3 years that you've been around it? Well, I guess close to 4 years now.
Yeah, a tough subject because I don't want to lose them because they all do great things on and off the field that I've seen. They all have good qualities. Lainey Wheeler, she's kind of my thoughts on the field. Megan does a great job of keeping everybody in line. And then Lizzie does such a good job with her younger teammates and on and off the field. She does a great job with that. So they each have their great attributes to the team. So I'm really going to miss them.
Well, and so Megan, how do you guys get along as a group?
I feel like this year we're all, it's just like a big family. Like we're all so close this year. There's no, this group that stays together and this group. Like we all get along so well, even with the younger girls. Like we just all, it's a fun team to be on.
So, also being defensive minded in your position here on the field, do you like scrapping it up whenever
Yeah,
you're defending
that's
against people?
definitely one of the more fun parts of being able to play soccer is being able to be aggressive. But yeah.
So, what is your favorite subject to study in school?
I don't know. I mean, I like science a lot because I like that medical field type stuff. But yeah.
So now you guys played that game against Warren East. Ended up losing it 1-0. They scored off the corner kick, which was apparently a very good one. And you guys had several chances to at least tie it, and maybe you probably had a couple of good chances to even get a lead in that game. What do you think your team learned from that particular game?
It sounds strange, but I think we did get a boost of confidence because we did shut them down for the majority of the game. They had that one corner, but then the ball was on our half the majority of the second half. So we just have to finish the ball. But I thought defensively it's there. We just have to make offense be there as well.
Well, and you are, when you're playing Warren East, you're playing the top goal scorer in the state. So to basically keep her out of the book is something pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's Lainey Wheeler did her job. So I think we have a good tactic going in. We know who to shut down. We know how to do it. Now we just have to score.
So is that the thing that you're looking at? You're like, okay, I got to figure out how to get more offense, because you mentioned playing from the back, but I guess optimally you would rather try to set up from the midfield.
Yes, that would be amazing. But when we're playing a team like Warren East, I would rather have the players shutting down the threats than be working on offense. So that's kind of our dilemma right now, because a lot of the girls that I have man marking could be beneficial to offense, but I have them there. So that's something that I'm going to have to figure out.
So is that a case, because you really actually have a young team when you get right down to it, and you're kind of probably relying on some of your younger players offensively.
Yes.
Is that the case that you think as the season goes along, they're going to get better at trying to figure out how to get some goals and that kind of stuff?
I do, because I tell them all the time, you're doing the hard part. The hard part's over. You're doing the 1-2 balls. You're playing the great passes. We just have to get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And I think that will come with maturity and confidence.
So Megan, do the seniors yell at the younger players, why didn't you make that shot, or do you guys encourage them?
No, I haven't seen much negativity or really anything at all. We always try to lift each other up and always positive on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look at the season going forward, what do you think? How well do you think you guys can do?
I think we're definitely competing. I don't think Bowling Green was kind of a different beast in its own, but I don't think there's any team that we've not been able to compete with. And I want to get better, and I want to compete with those Bowling Green teams. And I think we have a good opportunity. Our program is growing. So that's kind of my goal. By the end of the season, people are going to know we're there to play.
Yeah. How many players do you have in the program?
33 right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bunch.
Yeah.
Because not to revisit a traumatic past, but when you were coming through high school, you guys were struggling to even field a team, really.
Yeah, we didn't have a JV team for the longest time. I remember begging my friends to play, which it turned out great. But it's crazy to think we're in this position now where we have so many girls, but I'm proud of it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. All right. Well, this is James Brown. I've been here with Barren County Girls Soccer coach Lainey Smith and defensive-minded player Megan Spears on Tell Me About It, and thank you for joining us. Hey, this is James Brown. Welcome back to Tell Me About It here on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, local channel. You can catch this show live, so to speak, at 6 o'clock on a Thursday night. We're not sure exactly which Thursday just yet. We're trying to pack in all of our fall sports, preseason, in-season, early season stuff. golf is about it's only got about a month left, so that'll be part of the deal too. I am here with Bart Roberts, the Glasgow Lady Scotties golf coach. I joked with him a couple of years ago that if he rebuilt the legendary Lady Scotties program, which I think has the second most state tournament wins behind Sacred Heart.
Sure does.
It would be probably the greatest accomplishment of his coaching career. And that was because he had 5 seniors and there were no young golfers behind them. And so he had to hit the hallways and the links and everywhere else probably.
Yeah, I mean, we were, and that was at the same time that Glasgow Country Club was going through its financial struggles as well.
Yeah.
So losing 5 seniors, a golf course was struggling to survive that we were playing at. It was just a recipe of disaster.
Well, and you have, in the 2 years since then, you have managed to find yourself 10 varsity golfers and I think 3 6th graders. So basically 13 golfers in your program.
13 in the program.
And well, let's start with how have you actually done that? How many times have you had to stop at McDonald's and ask a kid in the drive-thru,
Oh my gosh,
would you like to play Glasgow golf?
Yeah, so there were sleepless nights, and I know most people wouldn't think, oh, you're going to lose sleep over the girls' golf program, but it's the expectation, the tradition that Glasgow has in every sport that we have, that everybody in the community just wants to see us succeed.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that person to take this region-winning team and then lose the program, because there's still many schools in our region that don't even have a program for girls, and occasionally even for the boys. So just, it was stressful. It really was. It was May, after those girls graduated, there was probably a month when I didn't have a single player rostered. And Emery Gardner reached out to me just out of the blue. She said, hey, my dad likes to play golf. I like softball, but I'm interested in the individual part of golf. And I was like, yes, okay. And I full committed to making sure that she had the best experience possible, because I knew if I could just get one, right? Yeah. And then word of mouth. But really, it just, the recipe of disaster turned into the recipe of success. It was just word of mouth, people advocating for me, people in the community talking about not necessarily just me as a golf coach, but just my positive attitude about golf. Yeah. Because golf is hard enough.
Right.
And a coach should, and I always make the joke, I don't think I could coach football or boys basketball. I just don't have the rigor, maybe necessarily. I would adapt that style, but it's just not my natural personality. Just uplifting, positive, just everything's going to be okay. So Emery and I, it was just me and Emery for a full season. Right. Just me and her. And it was a really fun experience for me. Yeah. I mean, you're not allowed to caddy the players. You can't rake the bunkers and push their bags and stuff like that. But I walked with her every single hole of that whole season. Every match, every tournament, the 9-hole All-A qualifier. And then she ended up qualifying. So I got to walk with her every hole at All-A State in Richmond. And I think that helped me as a coach probably more than it did her well, I'm sure it helped her as a player too. Yeah. But it was just a wonderful season. And she got better and her score started to reflect it. And then word of mouth, oh, look at what Emery did this past season. And then, people just started coming out. At that time, there weren't a lot of 7th grade and up players who wanted to do it. So I was kind of having to talk to the AD, which at the time was Craig Cassidy, and I was like, what do I do if I don't have any 7th grade and up? Can I do 5th and 6th grade girls? Can I have those on the team as long as they're not participating? And so we started a middle school program, not through KHSAA, but so that I could start working with these 6th graders. And so then we developed that group, that original group, Lucy Kate, Greer, Aria, and Reese, and just started from the ground up. And the number one focus was and still is player retention. I love watching their scores get lower. I love having them at practice, but I pride myself on I have a 100% player retention rate. Yeah. Every girl is still with me. And maybe that's not a great thing, because maybe I should be a little harder on them, but...
Well,
My big thing is if you get them to love it and love the sport and love the game, the scores will come.
Yeah.
They'll get the reps in. They'll put in the work. And every girl I have is willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it grew and it started growing and growing. And then, again, word of mouth. And again, a successful golf course. Willow Oaks has been very successful with their membership lately, so kudos to them. And when you have families who are talking about golf and girls are going to school talking about how much fun they had at golf practice, I really can't think of a single player on my team that doesn't have a friend on the let me think about how to word this. They came in pairs, right? Like me and my friend want to try golf. And so it was that word of mouth concept where these girls are hanging out with each other off the course too.
Yeah.
And if we go and have fun at golf and get better, that's a bonus.
So that was Emery's sophomore year, I
It
think,
was.
whenever she came out. And so now she's a senior this year. And I guess she has turned into a person who would like to play college golf if she can manage to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like one of those things from nothing to, I have a different aspiration probably than she did going into her sophomore year.
Yeah, I mean, when she came to me about playing high school golf, there was probably always the small conversation of what this could lead into. But, I mean, at that time, she was still trying to figure out how to transition her softball swing into a golf swing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at that time, she'd be fine with me saying this, there were a lot of shanks. There were a lot of errant shots. I mean, there were a lot of moments where she would look at me and go, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know if I have the time to get good enough in the 3 seasons that we have together. But she stuck with me. She trusted the process. Her dad's been a great support on the course and off the course. But yeah, so the conversation just kind of got a little bigger and a little bigger. And last year she was like, what do you think I need to be shooting next season to be able to play at the next level? And so we had that honest conversation. And then this year she's been setting goals and she's had some really fantastic scores and she's had a couple of tournaments where she didn't play her best, but we're still having those conversations of it's golf. Like
Right.
no one goes out. I mean, you look at the PGA Tour and these guys are shooting 67 one day and then shooting 75 the next, and they're getting paid big money to do it.
Right.
And so just the mental part of it, but yeah, she's interested in playing at the next level. She's in talks with a school or two, and we're hoping that her scores can continue to reflect that. And I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
So let's talk about some of the players that, because a lot of the ones you mentioned that 100% retention rate. Outside of, I think you had one senior last year? Or
I did,
two seniors?
yeah, Callie Schmidt.
Yeah, one senior. So that means all the girls that decided to take a chance last year are still with you. And so let's talk about some of them that decided to come out last year and are sticking around this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Emery as the senior. And then last year I had 2 sophomores who are now going to be juniors, Nora Underwood and Cora Grace Jones. More recreational than collegiate expectations for their golf, but they both came to me with we hear you're a fun coach, we hear we're going to have a positive experience through this, and we think we just want to play golf for the rest of our lives. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's fantastic when girls just want to come out and learn the game. And so, yeah, they played last season. When the season ended, I said, I don't need an answer right now, but what are y'all thinking? And they were like, oh, yeah, we'll definitely be there next year. And that just makes my heart full.
Yeah.
It really does. We have one brand new player to us this season, Gracie Bale. She's got a softball background as well, kind of similar to Emery on that regards. A lot of potential. So I'm excited to see her grow. And right now, again, we're still a month away from even the end of this season, but I'm like, are you enjoying it? Are you looking forward to growing? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to stick with it.
Now, what grade is she in?
She's a freshman.
Okay.
So I've got 4 years with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then that original group, my OGs, they were 6th graders when they started, so they're in 8th grade now. I mean, you've got Reese, Greer Benefield, Lucy Kate Stallings, Harlow Bale, she's a 7th grader this year, Aria Harper, Abrielle Zurich. I know I hate naming because I know I'm always going to leave one off when I look back at these. But yeah, again, like you and I were talking a little bit before the interview, they're starting to set some expectations now that they've got a couple of seasons of experience, but they still love it. I really do believe that. I do think they're enjoying practice and the competition and learning to accept the struggle because golf, even from day to day, month to month, year to year, you want to be getting better, but you have to accept sometimes you show up to the golf course and you just don't have it that day.
Well, so let's talk about, you said they started setting some expectations for themselves and that kind of thing. You know, when you look at the history of Glasgow golf and you go out there and play at Willow Oaks and they got the sign out there with, you know, all the missed golfs and the state championships and all that jazz, and they get an opportunity to look at that. Have they started kind of growing into the idea of this program is really important to us and to this school that we go to?
I think so. Yeah, so it always comes up so randomly. It's not an every practice situation. But yeah, there have been times when a girl would walk past Whitney Wade's Mrs. Kentucky Golf and go, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
And that just sparks a conversation of, well, let me explain to you. She won Mrs. Kentucky Golf. They won a state championship. Now she's the head coach of Louisville women's golf.
Yeah.
Like it's
going
just
into the Golf Hall of Fame.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's just they do. They have a lot of pride in Glasgow, and I think as they continue to grow and get into that more high school age, and when we're actually competing for tournaments, I mean, let's just be honest, when we're starting to become competitive as a team, I really, really see them getting into the Glasgow Scotty pride.
Yeah, well, and you have a couple of recent additions to the college ranks doing well with Abby Lee, who's going to be a senior at Middle Tennessee, and Nina McMurtry at WKU, and so I'm sure they get to see them occasionally around because I know they both come to visit.
Abby's been at the driving range pretty much every day for the last couple of weeks. I talked to her yesterday, and she's headed back to MTSU today, actually. But yeah, I mean, just seeing her on the driving range, and some of the girls will look over and go, "Wow," and I'm like, "Yeah, I coached that." Like, no, but that was not me.
That's me.
I promise that was not me. By no means would I ever say that, but it's just inspiring for the girls. It really is. And Abby's so cool, calm, and collected on the driving range, and she'll give them positive things. She'll say positive things to them. But absolutely, I mean, you got Bailey Birdsell at Spalding University playing NAIA. She's really good friends with one of my players. Her family is really good friends with one of my players' families. And just having that, just everybody is rooting for these girls.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. Anything else you want folks to know before we get out of here?
No, thank you for your time, and go Scotties.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Coach Roberts. I've been here with Bart Roberts, Glasgow Lady Scotties golf coach, rebuilding the program, but having some positive outcomes already. And this is Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. We'll be back. Hey, this is James Brown here on Tell Me About It. Welcome back, and thank you for catching our interviews and our opener tonight. I hope you guys enjoy the game between Barren County and Glasgow on Friday night. You can listen to that game on 104 The Score, the FM station. You can listen to it online on the 104thescore.com. You can watch it, as a matter of fact. If you go to the 104 The Score / Barren County page, you will have the feed on there. It's I think you can get the BCHS live feed, but yes, please come to the Score. Not to knock the school, but anyway, so you can watch it, you can listen to it. We'll have that full coverage of that. I think Jay Turner will be on the call starting about 6:30. Like I said, the game's at Barren County at 7, and I want to thank you all for joining us here again this year. I want to thank the coaches and the players who were able to make it in. We plan on doing another one of these shows leading into basketball season. Maybe it'll be a little less chaotic with trying to get 6 coaches in instead of, 14 of them or how many ever it is for fall sports. All right, we'll catch you again next time.